Hey, good afternoon. I know I'm getting a little late start today with the devotional, but I want to look at 2 Samuel 20 with you. And I really do hope that you are continuing to look at this text with me. I hope that you're reading through here. And we saw that uh, a while ago. It feels like we haven't been in 2 Samuel for a while, but David sins and he's run out of the land by Absalom, who's trying to take over the kingdom. Absalom dies, and David's being brought back. And then when they're at the Jordan, Judah and Israel they get in this altercation about who has more shares of David or the throne. And Israel says in 19, we have 10 shares in the king, and David also, we have more than you. Why then do you despise us? Talking to the tribe of Judah. We are not the first to speak of, were we not the first to speak of bringing back our king? But the words of the men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of Israel. So there's this conflict between them. And then there arises this man named Sheba, and he seeks to start a rebellion against David, just like Absalom did. And you would think that they had learned their lesson already. Those who come against God's chosen one, they're going to have a problem, but they didn't. And Sheba says, he rises up, he blows a trumpet and says, we have no portion in David, and we have no inheritance in the son of Jesse. Every man to his own tent, O Israel. So he's saying, let's just do this ourselves. And this is threatening to split Israel again. And David, he sees this as an immediate threat, not to him, as we saw last time. He knows who he is. He knows he's going to remain king because he's been promised by God. But it threatens to tear apart what God has brought together in Israel. It threatens to tear apart the nation. So he says, it's time to take care of this. And he sends out a guy to go take care of it. And when he doesn't, when Amasa doesn't take care of it immediately, he sends Joab. And Joab goes and takes care of this, and they come to the city, Abel, and they're about to destroy the city. And a wise woman from the city, from the council, comes to the gate and says, "What are you doing? This is a city of God where people come to seek wisdom. This is a special place." And Joab and her have this interchange where he says, look, there's a man in there who's seeking to destroy Israel. And she says, well, we'll take care of it. And they do. They cut off the head of Sheba, verse 22, and threw it out to Joab. So he blew the trumpet, and they dispersed from the city, every man to his home. And Joab returned to Jerusalem to the king. And the rebellion was squashed. And we see how easily it is to follow the wrong leader. We get caught up in our own emotions, and we get caught up in the way we think things should be going, and we'll line up behind the wrong leader. And even in the church, you see that there's these lining up behind leaders. I am going this way, or I'm going to follow this person, or I'm going to follow that person because I think they're doing the right thing. And what is happening is churches are being torn apart. And it's sad to see. It really is. We're forgetting who it is that we follow. We follow Jesus Christ. We follow the true leader. And we don't line up behind people that line up with our opinions. We line up. If we're committed to a church, if we're members in a church, man, what are we saying to those who lead us? What are we saying to those? Well, they're not doing what we think, so we're just going to go a different direction. And it threatens to split the church. And I do believe that this, in this time now, with all of the information and the constant pulling in different directions, there are many who are leaving churches and going to different ones, and that's threatening. We're not winning when we do that. We're not winning when we get our way and we get to do what we think we should be able to do. We're actually harming the church. And it's wrong. It's wrong. So I pray that we see this rebellion of Sheba and how David had to deal with it, and see, like, if I'm the one who's doing the same thing, how am I any different than Sheba, or tearing apart the church that Christ brought together? We have to remember we're following Christ. We're not following leaders who line up with ourselves. So I pray this is helpful. I pray that you think about it before you leave a church. And I'm not thinking of anyone in particular. I just think that we need to hear that because it's very easy to say, I've got an opinion and I think I should follow whoever lines up with my opinion. But we got to remember Christ is the one we follow. So I pray you have a blessed day. I pray you're in the Word. I pray that you're in prayer more than on Facebook, like I said last week, more than reading the news, seeking God in wisdom, for wisdom, and getting rid of the things in your life that are pulling you away from Him. Get rid of the things that are seeking to pull you apart from the body of Christ. It's not healthy. It's not good for us. That's not what the Lord wants for us. He wants us right now in this moment to be unifying. We should be pulling together. Yeah, we can have different opinions. That's fine. But let's talk. Let's have a good conversation. Let's stop attacking each other. Christians, stop attacking each other. That's exactly what Satan wants. And we think the government's tearing us apart. But man, if we start to do that, we're tearing ourselves apart. So I pray you have a great day. God bless.